The lack of purpose is a silent void. Have you ever felt like you're living on autopilot? As if the days pass by without leaving any real mark, one blending into the next, a repetitive sequence of obligations with no real meaning? Maybe you wake up, work, complete your tasks, distract yourself for a while, sleep, and then it all starts again. It's like running on a treadmill, there's effort, there's movement, but you're staying in the same place. This is the most common symptom of a life without purpose. And while it may not always feel painful, it's profoundly empty. This emptiness is sneaky. It doesn't scream. It doesn't bleed. It simply settles in, little by little. You feel a restlessness you can't quite name. A subtle sadness at the end of the day. A feeling that something's missing, but you're not sure what. Many people carry this for years, thinking it's normal. But it's not. It's just common. And what's common often hides what's most alarming: disconnection from yourself. Without a purpose, life loses direction. You might be surrounded by goals, lists, tasks, schedules, but everything feels shallow. Like you're playing a role you never chose. Like you're following a script written by someone else. Society tells you what success looks like. Culture dictates what happiness should be. And without noticing, you try to fit in. But deep inside, something in you is screaming for meaning. The lack of purpose isn't just existential. It has real, practical effects. It drains your energy. It dulls the light in your eyes. It makes decisions harder because everything feels equally unimportant. You procrastinate not because you're lazy, but because you don't see real value in what you're doing. You get easily distracted because you're not truly engaged. And deep down, there's a silent pain, the pain of not living with truth. It's common to confuse purpose with grand achievements. I need to do something extraordinary, change the world, create something monumental. But that's just another ego trap. True purpose doesn't need to be huge. It needs to be meaningful, to you. It can mean creating a warm home, writing, teaching, caring, studying, walking with presence. The important thing isn't the size of the action, it's the meaning it holds for your soul. Living without purpose is like sailing without a compass. Any direction seems possible, but none leads you anywhere. You get tired. And worse, you get used to it. Humans have an incredible ability to adapt, even to a lack of meaning. But that adaptation comes at a price, the weakening of your inner vitality. On the other hand, when you find your why, everything starts to change. Simple tasks take on new light. Challenges stop feeling like burdens and become part of something bigger. You feel like you're heading somewhere, and that completely shifts your internal state. Purpose is like a flame that guides you, even on the darkest days. It doesn't go out with the winds of difficulty. It warms you, lights your path, and inspires movement. But before you find it, you have to recognize its absence. You have to face the discomfort of a life without direction. Not to blame yourself, but to wake up. To admit that you want more. That you deserve more. That living by inertia is not enough. That something inside you craves meaning, coherence, authenticity. Purpose is not a philosophical luxury. It's a spiritual necessity. It's what sustains your emotional health, your resilience, your genuine joy. Without it, everything feels exhausting. With it, even effort feels meaningful. With it, you may still fall, but you rise with direction. If you feel an emptiness, maybe it's not sadness. Maybe it's just the absence of a why. And that's not the end. It's the beginning. The beginning of an inward journey. Where the answers you seek aren't out there, but within you. There, in your silence, in your heart, a purpose is waiting for you. The cost of ignoring who you are. many people spend their lives trying to fit in. Playing roles. Meeting expectations. Wearing masks to please others, to be accepted, to avoid conflict. And little by little, without even noticing, they drift away from themselves. This disconnection doesn't happen all at once, it's subtle, almost imperceptible. But one day, you wake up and no longer recognize yourself. And worse, you don't even know exactly when it started. This is the price we pay for ignoring who we are. When we lack clarity about our purpose, it's easy to live on autopilot. To make decisions based on fear. To accept whatever comes instead of seeking what truly moves us. And that slowly eats away at us from the inside. It's no wonder so many people who appear successful on the outside feel empty on the inside. They followed the script. They did everything right. But they forgot to ask themselves if that right was really theirs, or imposed by someone else. Living disconnected from your purpose doesn't hurt like an accident. It hurts like a constant longing for something you can't even name. An unease that shows up at night when everything falls silent. A void that not even achievements can fill. And this isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that something deeper inside you is asking for space. Something true. Something essential. The problem is, we were taught to value results, not meaning. To measure success by numbers, not by fulfillment. That's why so many people stay trapped in routines that suffocate them, yet continue because it's the right thing to do. But right for whom? Who are you trying to prove something to? Whose voice is it inside your head telling you that change is risky, that it's too late, that you can't? Many of those voices aren't even yours. They're inherited voices. From parents, teachers, bosses, society. Voices that shaped you from an early age, creating an image of success that maybe never made sense to your heart. And that's why stopping to reflect on your purpose is an act of courage. Because you'll have to question those voices. You'll have to look inward with honesty and maybe admit that you've spent years living a life that wasn't yours. But before you start blaming yourself for that, take a deep breath. You did the best you could with the information and conditions you had. What matters isn't the time that's passed, but what you choose to do from now on. The past doesn't define your future, it only shows you where you've been. The choice of where you're going is entirely in your hands. Discovering your purpose isn't magic. It doesn't come from a test or a ready-made piece of advice. It emerges from deep contact with who you are. With your pain, your joy, your passions, your values. And above all, with your truth. That thing that makes your eyes light up, your soul vibrate. That thing that, when you do it, everything seems to align. Time stops. You feel exactly where you're meant to be. Sometimes, that truth appears during moments of crisis. Other times, in deep silence. It can surface when you help someone, when you create something with your hands, when you write, dance, teach, care, lead, transform. The form doesn't matter. What matters is the feeling it awakens in you. That unmistakable sense that it has meaning. That it's bigger than you. And that's exactly where purpose lives. When you start reconnecting with it, everything changes. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. You start making decisions that feel more aligned. You start saying no to what drains you and yes to what expands you. You begin to realize that living with purpose isn't about grand achievements. It's about living with truth. In every choice, in every gesture, in every word. And little by little, the emptiness gives way to presence. To the feeling that you're living your life, not a borrowed life, not an expected life, but yours. Authentic. Imperfect. Real. Because living with purpose isn't about having all the answers. It's about being willing to ask the right questions. and following the path they reveal, even if the way feels uncertain. Because deep down, nothing is more dangerous than living a life that isn't yours. And nothing more liberating than finally allowing yourself to be who you really are. Purpose isn't found, it's built. Many people spend their lives waiting for a big sign, as if purpose were something magical, suddenly revealed like a beam of light from the sky showing the exact way forward. But purpose rarely works like that. It usually doesn't appear in a sudden flash. It's almost always a construction. A process. A path that's built little by little, as you move forward. And this is where many people get it wrong. They wait to discover the why of life before they start living. They think they need to be sure of everything before taking the first step. But the truth is the opposite. You only find purpose by living, trying, making mistakes, and starting again. It reveals itself through experience, not through waiting. You don't need to have a huge project to have a purpose. You don't need to change the world overnight. Sometimes, your purpose lies in simple things, in caring for someone, creating something, easing someone else's pain, spreading beauty, teaching, serving. What matters isn't the size of what you do, but the intention behind it. And this intention doesn't come from the ego, it comes from the soul. It doesn't seek applause, it seeks meaning. It doesn't crave fame, it craves truth. And when you act with that intention, even in small things, you start to feel a different force guiding you. You stop living dragged along by the days and start living with direction. But that direction doesn't come with a full map. It comes with clues. With subtle signs. With that flutter in your stomach when something excites you. With that inner peace when you feel you're in the right place. And also with discomfort when something no longer makes sense. All these feelings are compasses. And your job is to learn to listen to them. Maybe you're asking yourself, but what if I make a mistake? What if I choose the wrong path? The answer is, you will make mistakes. And that's okay. Mistakes are part of the construction. Failure doesn't mean defeat. It means you're trying. That you're moving. That you're alive. And each mistake teaches you something. Shows you what isn't your path. And by elimination, brings you closer to what is. That's how purpose takes shape. With each attempt, each conscious choice, each moment when you say yes to what brings you closer to yourself, and no to what pulls you away. There's no ready-made purpose. There's a lived purpose. Created with intention, consistency, and courage. And yes, it takes courage to live with purpose. Because it will pull you out of your comfort zone. It will make you question habits, environments, relationships. It will ask you to leave autopilot mode and take the wheel of your own life. But that courage is rewarded with something priceless: peace of mind, clarity, direction. Little by little, you realize that purpose isn't a destination. It's a way of walking. It's the way you relate to life, to others, to yourself. And when you walk with purpose, even the hard days carry meaning. Even the challenges become part of the mission. And life, which once felt like a string of obligations, starts to gain color. It starts to have flavor. It starts to make sense. So, if today you still don't know exactly what your purpose is, that's okay. It doesn't stop you from starting to live with more intention. From making more aligned choices. From speaking more truths. From paying more attention to what lights you up inside. Maybe you won't find your purpose all at once. But it will reveal itself as you reveal yourself. And the more you become who you really are, the clearer it becomes. Because, deep down, purpose isn't something outside of you. It's the most authentic expression of what already lives inside. And all you need to do, is start. Aligning purpose with real life. Living with purpose doesn't mean abandoning reality to go chasing after grand spiritual adventures or monumental projects. Quite the opposite. True purpose shows up in real life, in your ordinary days, in practical decisions, in your everyday relationships. That's where it gains substance, shape, and strength. A common mistake is to think that purpose exists outside of our routine, as if it's something that can only happen after we completely change our lives. But what if your purpose is actually in the way you live what you already have? In how you show up for what you do, even in the small things. You can live with purpose as a parent, a friend, a student, a professional, a volunteer, an artist, a caregiver. The secret isn't in the title, it's in the dedication. In the intention. In the why behind every action. Are you doing what you do just out of obligation, or because you feel it contributes to something greater? Are you truly present, or just surviving? When you start asking yourself these questions honestly, something shifts. The same tasks you used to do take on new meaning. You stop acting on autopilot and start bringing presence to everything you do. And it's that presence that reveals the hidden purpose in the details. A good example is the gardener who tends to a small public space as if it were a sacred garden. He's not there just to clock in hours, he's there because he knows he's cultivating beauty, offering peace, contributing to something bigger than himself. Another example is the teacher who, even without recognition, teaches with passion because she believes in the transformative power of education. These people live with purpose, even if they never make speeches about it. They live in alignment with what they believe. And that's one of the biggest keys, alignment. When your daily actions line up with your deepest values, you feel at peace. When there's misalignment, when you keep saying yes to things that go against your essence, your body speaks up, your mind becomes restless, your soul feels heavy. That's why living with purpose isn't just a nice inspiration. It's a commitment to your integrity. It's about stopping the habit of betraying yourself to please others. It's about learning to say no to what drains you, and yes to what strengthens you, even if that means disappointing people, losing acceptance, or changing course. And yes, sometimes you'll need to break free. From patterns. From routines that no longer serve you. From expectations that aren't yours. But every time you move in that direction, something aligns inside you. Your energy flows better. Your decisions become clearer. And life stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a meaningful path. Another important truth, purpose won't save you from suffering. But it gives your suffering a new meaning. When you're aligned with something bigger, even pain has a place. It's no longer useless. It becomes part of your refinement. Part of your maturity. Part of your growth. You don't need to have everything figured out to live with purpose. You just need to be willing to live with more truth. That alone will start to transform your energy, your presence, your relationship with the world. And the more you live this way, the more people around you will feel it. Because purpose is contagious. It inspires. It invites others to seek meaning too. You don't need to convince anyone. Just be who you are, fully. So, take a look at your routine. What in it feels aligned with your purpose, even if it's still small? And what's pulling you away from yourself? What can be adjusted? What needs to be let go? What can be redefined? This ongoing reflection is what keeps your purpose alive. It's not static. It evolves with you. And the more you honor it in your daily actions, the stronger it grows, until one day you look back and realize, you didn't just live. You lived with meaning. When purpose becomes a way of life. You've come this far reflecting on your essence, your why, and how it can transform the way you live. Now, it's time to take it a step further, to understand that living with purpose isn't a fixed destination, it's a way of walking through life. It's a state of continuous presence, where each choice is made with awareness, and every action has a reason that comes from within. Many people postpone living with purpose because they believe they're not ready yet. They tell themselves, when I have more time, more money, more confidence, then I'll go after my purpose. But that's an illusion. The right moment is now. What you have today, with all its limitations, doubts, and imperfections, is already the perfect starting point. Purpose isn't born from ideal conditions. It's born at the intersection between your pain and your gift, between what you lack and what you can offer, between what troubles you in the world and what you feel you can help transform. It's a seed that grows in the soil of your own story. And that story is already unfolding. But here's something important: purpose is not a success formula. It's not a one-size-fits-all model. It's something unique, intimate, and often quiet. Your purpose may not involve fame, money, or public recognition. It may involve listening, caring, inspiring, supporting, creating, far from the spotlight, but with real presence. That's where its beauty lies. Purpose calls you to be who you are, in your own way. It doesn't demand perfection, it asks for truth. It doesn't require speed, it asks for presence. It doesn't need grand gestures, it grows through small, consistent actions done with intention. When you start living with that clarity, the outside world may not change overnight. But something deeply important changes from the inside out. And that's enough. Because the peace that comes from being where you're meant to be, even with doubts and challenges, is one of the most profound experiences a human being can have. Living with purpose won't protect you from stumbling, but it will give you direction after the fall. It will give you breath on difficult days. It will give you focus when everything feels chaotic. It will give you the courage to say no to what pulls you away from yourself, and yes to what brings you closer to your essence. And above all, it will give you connection. Connection to something bigger than yourself. Call it a mission, spirituality, meaning, contribution. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that this connection reminds you, every single day, that your life has value. That your existence makes a difference. That you're not here by accident. Now, take a deep breath and ask yourself, how can I honor my purpose today? With what I have. Where I am. With the people around me. Maybe it's by speaking a truth. Or by listening to someone with full attention. Or finally starting that long-postponed project. Or simply, pausing for 5 minutes, to feel gratitude for the life that pulses within you. Because purpose isn't just in the big steps. It's also in the small gestures. It's in how you wake up, in how you speak to others, in how you treat yourself. It's in the way you choose to live, even on the simplest days. And if someday you feel lost again, because it happens, remember this: the path of purpose is not a straight line. It's a constant return to yourself. A daily invitation to align your life with what makes your heart come alive. Life doesn't begin when everything is solved. Life begins when you find a why strong enough to keep going, even without guarantees. When you say, I don't know everything, but I know what feels true to me, and I'll honor that. From that point on, every step becomes part of something greater. Because in the end, purpose is not a place you arrive at. It's the way you choose to walk. With presence. With truth. With meaning. And that, in itself, is already living an extraordinary life.